Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're talking about Black Dwarf, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Call Obsidian.
And I don't care what name you call the dwarf. He's my guy.
Hey, what's up, guys? So you heard the voices of Brad and Brandon just there, and
Fred.
Steven is currently driving. Oh, yeah?
Why you gotta ruin things?
What?
Why do you have to ruin things? We had a good little bit, and
because
you're
I'm
like,
terrible. Hey, I'm trying to do this podcast. You're right. I should have played along. I no butted instead of yes anded.
yeah.
I'm.
You know
hey,
better.
I'm not
I
an improv
know you
person.
know better.
I'm not good at. Well, for everyone who's out there listening, Steven is not here today. He is driving something like 13 hours. So, everyone, let's wish him a safe drive, and let's hope he makes it no problems. All right, well, let's talk about stuff that we're here to talk about today. I am, if you can tell, I am sounding a lot worse than normal. I am in a hotel, which is terrible. I don't have my setup. I don't have any of my stuff. I'm just slumming it out here in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere, Brad.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Brad, what's up with you?
I'm where I always am, in my basement.
How are you doing, Brandon?
I am good.
I've got a weird energy today, I think. I'm all mixed up.
You're in the wonderful world of not Charleston, West Virginia, so.
Correct. I'm in Marietta. Yeah.
I can only think of great things that happen up there.
Well, let's talk about news from AMG, or should I say a distinct lack of news. They were completely silent this week, which we were expecting something.
Well, yeah,
right, Brad?
The Friday of release, they normally update the MCP documents, and they didn't. And apparently that was a mistake.
Yeah.
I hear that they were supposed to. So
I've heard it was pretty upset.
So probably Monday. You might have the
Let's
documents when you're listening to this, but we don't have them as of recording, so we don't know what affiliations everybody is. X-Men, spoiler.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we know who. We have a good idea where everyone's going to go.
Yeah.
But we don't know for certain. That's the thing.
There's a good enough questions about some of the characters that it is kind of upsetting that they didn't do anything.
Well,
yeah.
Off the ball.
If it sticks with timelines, we're not going to have any surprises. But the new Killmonger had one that wasn't on timelines.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Is Bishop on the timeline list for X-Men?
Yep. And X-Force.
Okay. Is he the only one that's on 2?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
For those of you who are listening, we're talking about, there was a release on, they were officially released Friday, correct? The X-Men, the new X-Men models. Yep. That is Xavier, Shadow King, that is Shadow Cat and Iceman, and that is Nightcrawler and Bishop. Right?
I'm impressed, Fred. I expect you to forget at least one of those, and probably 2.
Oh boy, I was close. I was nearly gonna miss a couple of them, but I got there. Yeah, so we don't officially know those affiliations yet. AMG must just be asleep at the wheel right now. But that's
They
okay.
did update.
We will.
They did update the Legion rules. So.
Oh, good for them. Good for them. They updated the Legion rules, a game that none of us play right now.
But we all own. Well,
So,
I don't know about Brandon
actually,
anymore.
yeah, you're right. We do own.
I still own. I still have a armor. I do still own a Legion armor.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew that I was the only one in question there.
Well, and careful with the way you said that. I mean, there in theory will eventually be a Legion coming to this game as a model.
That's true.
Right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Fred is really on it today. I'm really proud of you. I don't know what you're doing up there. I don't know what that air has done to you, but you are. I like this, Fred.
I'm walking while I talk, which is what I usually do. I usually walking and talking. That and that helps me think instead of sitting at a computer in front of a microphone.
So you're just pacing uncontrollably.
But I think better.
I'll be honest. You don't really. If you wouldn't have told me that this was a different way than you record, I wouldn't have been like super surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm impressed with this phone then. This phone has a pretty good microphone. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about the upcoming tournaments. So on March the 16th, oh, nope, I'm jumping ahead too far. On March 9th, there is going to be a tournament at Missing Falls Brewery. I think that you will have needed to have already signed up by this point to get a seat. I'm not 100% on that, but if you're not signed up yet, you got to get on that. It's coming up this Saturday, and it requires a fully painted roster. I now have several of the models in my roster painted, and I'm going to bum the rest off of everyone who's coming with me. So if you don't have a fully painted roster, just think ahead and try to get the models you need from your friends who are more on the ball.
They do
That's
still
what
have.
I'm doing.
They do have still spots open.
Okay. There are still spots open for everyone who's listening. So get out there and get in that tournament. We want to see 32 people there. All right. Let's move on to the next Saturday. That is Saturday, March 16th. There is going to be a Guild Ball tournament in South Charleston at Lost Legion Games and Comics. This is our first Guild Ball tournament in 3 years, I think. Is that right? I'm pretty sure.
That we've hosted, probably. But
yeah. I remember the last time that I went to a Guild Ball tournament, I was driving you and Matt to Knoxville, and we were driving through the snow, and it was March of 2020. So that'll tell you the sort of situation that we were in. It was.
We were not going to Knoxville.
Oh, was it?
Wait,
where was it? It's Knoxville. It's not Knoxville, Tennessee. It's Knoxville, Kentucky, which is a different town.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have been going to Knoxville, Kentucky.
Yeah. I think. I don't remember where it was, but it was out there. But yeah, that was the last time I think that I played Guild Ball. I think that was the last time I played it, which is sad.
There was a tournament.
No, that was 4 years ago, by the way.
Fred,
my math is better. That was 4 years ago.
Fred, there was a tournament that some of us went to a couple years ago in Pennsylvania, but you didn't go with us.
You're correct. I didn't, because I hit a deer on the way there.
Was that when you hit the deer?
Yeah, that was when I hit the deer.
Do
you remember you passed me?
I thought that was an MCP tournament.
No, that was going up
the
to Latrobe.
Guild Ball. Okay, I do remember that happening.
Yeah, that was fun. That's the danger of being in West Virginia. Is sometimes you hit a deer in the road at 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, Other than those tournaments, there is one more this month. It's that we know of. There are probably thousands more across the globe. There is one in Fabricators Forge in Pittsburgh on the 30th, on March the 30th. So if you are in that area, head on over to Fabricators Forge. It is an excellent space. And those are the upcoming tournaments here for the month of March that I know of. I'm sure there are probably more. And let's move on to games that we have played recently. So I know that everyone on this call has played a game, at least a couple, because we did a short scramble tournament on Thursday. So let's talk about that. Hey, Brandon, let's start with you. Tell me about some of your games.
I played 4 games this week.
Oh boy.
We don't need to hear about. We don't need to hear about the ones that weren't part of the scramble.
Unless something interesting happened.
No. Nothing really interesting happens in the games that I play Criminal Syndicate. No offense to anybody or anything. I know pretty well and pretty early how most of those games are going to play out. I've played so many at this point. It's pretty.
You know, round 1 whether you're going to win or not.
I know relatively quick. Honestly, turn 0. Honestly, once the scenarios and the rosters are revealed, I have a pretty good idea how everything's going to play out. Obviously, things can go different. Dice can change things. But for the most part, things shake out pretty consistently for me. However, I did play 2 games. I won both of them. There's not much to really say. I did what I was supposed to do. I played Criminal Syndicate. I stood on objectives. They were both Deadly Legacy and Scoundrels?
Are you talking about the tournament ones? Because
No.
your game. Okay.
No,
okay.
I'm not. I'm gonna let you talk about the game that we played.
Okay.
I want to talk about this. I'll talk. So this is the problem. The second game I played in the scramble, we didn't play a lot. We've played that game and that match a million times. I played Borka. We've played that 15, 20 times. We pretty well know what's going to happen pretty early into like round 2, early round 3 on how it's going to kind of shake out. So instead of going through everything, we just kind of moseyed on because I was in a really, really good setup. A couple activations into turn round 2. So we just kind of. I think we were playing Deadly Legacy as well. I think I, at that point, had all 3 Legacy viruses. 2 of them were on Rhino. I was able to get Rhino right next to Kingpin and Shadowland Daredevil on a side and I was throwing Spider-Woman across to the other side of the table. I was able to then bring Rhino to the left side of the table on Infinity Formula, and it was Rhino, Kingpin, Shadowland Daredevil, and he had Luke Cage and Iron Man on that side. So it was and I had all 3 viruses, and I was going to be able to get both the points on that side. So it was going to be, and I had Dynamo on the other side, on 1 point. So kind of just ended up in a weird spot in that one. I would also I would have been able to that round give the 3rd Legacy virus to Rhino, with the last activation with Shadowland. So if he was still alive, he was going to have all 3 of them. And then I was going to get 6. It was just going to not. The game was. It wasn't going to go great, and we knew it, so we just decided to talk about other things and have a better time than slug through that game. So in the first 2, I want to say it was Scoundrels, but I don't know if I played Scoundrels. I can't remember. I played the same scenario both games against.
In our game, Against Aaron. Okay.
Yeah, against Aaron, which I don't think was the same because I know we played. I know we played, Fred. I'll let you
You and
talk
I played
about.
Scoundrel. You and I played Scoundrels and Paranoia.
Yeah, which is also really good for me.
Yeah, it was.
So inevitably I went 4-0 on this day. So
Yeah.
I played
I
games.
mean, when you're playing Criminal Syndicate and Superpowered Scoundrels comes up, you've just got to be smiling ear to ear. I mean,
It feels good.
it's 100% where you want to be, and it's next to impossible to stop you from running away from the game with the game. It is possible, but it's hard. You got to play
Yeah.
real tight.
You gotta play real time. You gotta get a little dice luck, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like that I mean that's a part of the game and something you can count on. But it's definitely tougher. The way I play the game, Scoundrels is the number one scenario I want to see.
Yeah.
Honestly, and at that point, the extract does not matter to me. If I have
But I mean,
Scoundrels, any extract, and getting something like Cube, Spider Infected, Senators,
something with lots of points
Paranoia,
on the board.
yeah, it can get really gross really fast. So you can go ahead and talk about our game, Fred. Do that.
Yeah, so we were playing Superpowered Scoundrels and Paranoia, which is real bad for me in this matchup. I thought to myself, playing my Spider Foes list, that I need to out attrition him because I'm not going to out scenario him. So I played, instead of Spider Foes, I played Criminal Syndicate under MODOK 2. I really like the MODOK 2 leadership. I think it's pretty strong. And I was trying to out attrition him, and I could not do it fast enough to keep him from winning the game. Our game ended something like 17-11, I think. And yeah, I mean, I think that Brandon made some incredibly small number of actual attacks, something like 5 throughout the entire game, because it didn't matter. He just wanted to go have a big boy stand on a point, and I couldn't keep him from scoring that point.
I never once, unfortunately, in our game attacked to do actual damage.
Right. Like your
Which,
attacks were to
and that,
stagger people.
yeah, and that sounds crazy, but so Lizard attacked to try to get a push trigger.
You attacked
Then
twice with
Black Cat,
to
to stagger, to
put
get
out
stagger.
staggers.
Kingpin attacked one time to get a stagger.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowland Daredevil never attacked.
Right. I don't
And
think
then
he made one attack, and it was the hook baton thing that lets
to
him
move,
make an
so he can
advance.
move.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you did it to make an advance. You didn't do it to do any damage.
yeah, I did it to literally just advance. I did not, in most of the attacks, I wasn't trying to do damage because I did not want him to have extra power. So
Yeah.
it was a very weird game of I was kind of like out attritioning Fred by not giving him power to do more things.
Yeah.
Like I was limiting his resources by just not really attacking and not giving him the advancement to do all the things he wanted to do. But we played 16 points. I played Shadowland, Kingpin, Lizard, Black Cat, Bullseye.
And I was MODOK, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and another 4-pointer who
Rhino.
I'm not.
Rhino.
Rhino. Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So and Bullseye may have made an actual attack. Just he made an attack to hit and run.
Nope.
Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what he did. But Bullseye's the one person I took out.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So-
focus happened on, which was unfortunate because you did focus and gave him like 8 power to where then I was just able to all according to plan, like off of just Bullseye.
I know. Listen, this was a game that did not go my way. I lost this game pretty hard.
Yeah, the game. I mean, you lost the game on turn 0 for the most part.
Yeah. I need to come up with a better plan against Kingpin Criminal Syndicate. But well, that was that game. We've been talking a lot. So Brad, why don't you talk about a game that you played?
I played Borka in round 1 of the Scramble. We played 16 points, Paranoia and Extremis. And he got ahead early and stayed ahead and was killing my models quicker than I could kill his. And it did not go well, and he won the game 17-11. Psylocke did not get to do anything all game because he just ran away from her. She was scoring 2 points, but she wasn't doing anything else. Just sad.
That's a shame.
Which is sad because Psylocke can do the Lord's work.
Yeah. Psylocke didn't have a good night.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, so I lost this game.
Yeah. But you won your follow-up game, which was against me. So in our game, I was again playing... Oh, no, I wasn't. I was playing under Doc Ock's leadership.
You were?
And I was playing... What?
I said you were.
Oh, yeah, I was. I was playing Doc Ock, Hulk, and some other people. I think those are the most relevant models, Doc Ock and Hulk.
Fred picked 20 threat. We were playing Paranoia and Superpowered Scoundrels.
And it was again Superpowered Scoundrels Paranoia. This game was a lot closer. And it was a lot more brutal. Like, we annihilated each other over the course of this game.
I played a point down.
Yeah, you were playing 19 points to my 20. And it ended up being he was 1 point ahead of me, and we both had just a Hulk on the table. It was Hulk v. Hulk, and he was 1 point up. So, and he also got to activate last. So he was able to throw my Hulk off a point and then land on a point and end the game. And I believe it ended something like 17-15, something on that area.
That's exactly what it was, Fred.
Yeah. So that was how that ended. It was a much more brutal fight, though.
Wasn't it just Hulk and Hulk at the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fred did cover that.
Yeah. All right. Well, those, unless there's something else y'all want to talk about, those are the games that we covered. Those are the games that we played this week, I mean.
Did Brandon talk about his second game at the Scramble?
Yeah, he talked about playing against Borka.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to just move on to who we're here to cover today?
Sure.
All right. So, today we are covering Black Dwarf, otherwise known as Black Dwarf. He has 6 stamina on his front and 8 stamina on his backside. He is speed slow, size 4. He is 4 threat, and his defenses are 4 physical, 3 energy, and 3 mystic. And that's the same on the back as well. I should also state that he is a large-sized model, so his base is pretty big. That small is not too devastating. Brad, why don't you cover his attacks?
Okay, his first attack is physical, axe strike, range 2, cost 6. It's free, gain power equal to damage dealt. And his second attack is physical, cost 4, range 3, 8 dice, wild stagger.
Okay, and why don't you do the first superpower too?
No.
I can do all the superpowers. It's fine.
All right, Brandon, why don't you take the rest of the card then?
All right, so we've got Black Fury is a active superpower. It costs 3 power. It is choose an interactive terrain feature or an enemy character, both of size 4 or less, within 2 and throw it medium. The superpower can only be used once per turn. He has another one that is Enforced Oblivion for 2 power. This one does cost an action. This character makes a move action, and then the next attack it makes, this activation adds 2 dice to the attack roll. And then he has reactive intimidating presence for 2 power. When an enemy character within 2 of this character targets another allied character with an attack, this character may use this superpower. This character becomes the target of the attack regardless of range and line of sight. And then he has a damage reduction in vulnerable skin. When this character would suffer damage from enemy effect, reduce the amount suffered by 1 to a minimum of 1.
Okay, that is Black Dwarf. So I know that Brandon, this is your guy. You play this guy pretty regularly. So I want to let you talk about him.
This character is probably the most confusing character to me on why they don't see more play. Because he does everything you want him to do. So he's a large base. He's got 14 at 4th threat. He's got 14 health, which is above average. He rolls 4-3-3, which is right on par at 4th threat. He has a wild stagger on an 8 dice spender. That's range 3 for some reason. And his builder is 6 dice, range 2. He has a size 4 character throw that's also a terrain throw. If you really want to get fancy, you can if you have to make a move action, you can pay 2 power, and now your axe strike is going to be 8 dice. He's got bodyguard, and he reduces damage. Like, I do not understand why this character doesn't see more play.
He seems on paper like he absolutely rocks. I think I know why he doesn't see much play, which is that his only affiliation is Black Order, unless he has another affiliation that I don't know about. And I don't think that Black Order really wants to take this guy unless they're playing Corvus Glaive leadership. I think in that case they may bring him, but he just doesn't do what Black Order wants to do. But he's an amazing splash model in like Criminal Syndicate. Do you disagree? Everyone's being completely silent all of a sudden, unless I've lost connection.
I thought you were making a point, not asking a question. Yeah,
No.
Under Kingpin, he's an absolute model you should be considering in any list. Like, it's getting to a point where I think a lot of splash models have to be like game breaking to find play. But if this model fits in so well under Kingpin, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, if he was affiliated for some reason under Criminal Syndicate, he'd be the first model you grabbed every time because of how big he is and the throw. And
yeah, he's gonna go.
Everything about this card's good.
Brandon, he's gonna go rob banks.
It'd be, I mean,
genocidal.
He walked into a bank. They would.
Genocidal space alien. He's gonna spend his time knocking over liquor stores and robbing banks.
I don't know if you know this, but genocide, you are a criminal if you're committing genocide, just for the record.
That's different. That's not Criminal Syndicate.
I feel like Criminal Syndicate. Yeah, I feel like Criminal Syndicate doesn't do what Black Dwarf does. Like, fluff-wise, I mean, they do play this way. To Brad's point, I think that he is fantastic. Just like nakedly on his card, he's great.
I think he needs an errata.
What would you change?
His alter ego to be Cull Obsidian.
Oh, you mean okay? Because that his title is Black Dwarf, and then he's also known as Black Dwarf, but that's not actually
his name. His name is Cull Obsidian.
Oh, okay.
That's it. The rest can stay because he's really good. That. He's cool.
Yeah, I know he's really good.
Like, the only thing you could give him good bodyguard instead of bad bodyguard.
No, he'd be too good. I think.
Otherwise, I don't know what you change. Like, it's just it doesn't, like, you can't give him. Like, I feel like as much as he doesn't see play, if they change this character, it would probably be like a nerf of some sort. They would remove health from his backside.
Can I also say, you said that they should give him good bodyguard instead of bad bodyguard. I think he wants bad bodyguard more because he's going to be up in the mix, right? He's
Yeah.
going to be within 2 of the enemy characters usually.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's just. I mean, just in theory. Like, but I don't know what else you change. Like.
Right.
They could give
Like, it
his
just-
spender automatic stun. That wouldn't be over the top.
Yeah. And then. Yeah, but
He's good. I used to play him in X-Men back when X-Men were bad. Like before the Colossus, Magic, Rogue, Gambit wave. I played Black Dwarf.
He's outstanding. He's just really something else. He has a tactics card that we need to talk about as well.
Oh no!
Or I should say, there's a tactics card that's affiliated with him.
yeah, he has a tactics card with one of the other members of.
I've got it.
It
Right.
is with Black Swan, and it is called Black Onslaught. It is a Black Order specific card, and it is reactive. And if Black Swan is within range 2 of an allied Black Dwarf when she uses the charge superpower, they may each spend 1 power to play this card. After the charge movement action is resolved, but before making the attack action, you may place Black Dwarf within range 1 of Black Swan. So it's basically a Black Dwarf delivery machine.
Man, that'd be so much better if he got an attack.
Yeah,
yeah. This can't be. This is not the A-Force card that does that.
So you can do this on. You can do this on turn 1 if you give her the power gem, right?
Yes. She'd have to have a target.
Yes.
She'd have to have someone who's within a charge of her.
No, you don't.
And Black. Oh yeah, you're right. You could just charge.
Yeah, and
you could just do it. You're right.
You wouldn't get your attack, but so you got to move Black Dwarf. Yeah, that costs
Black Dwarf in the middle of the board before he can activate.
That costs her 3 power.
She also has. Yeah, that would cost her 3 power. If you were able to put an extra power on her somehow, she has the everything. Not everything dies. She has an
I-beam
energy attack, an I-beam attack that costs 1 power. That is I think it may be range 4.
Range 3.
Range 3. Okay.
It auto incinerates, has a wild pierce.
It's a pretty good attack, and well, now we're theory crafting for Black Swan, who is not who we're talking about today. What are your thoughts on this card?
It's okay.
If you're playing these 2 characters, sure.
Yeah, it's fine. If you're playing both Black Swan and Black Dwarf, there's no reason you don't take it, unless there's nothing about it that blows me away. But it does get Black Dwarf into the mix, which is what you want for him to do. I mean, it's a good card. It's fine. Yeah, I guess that's our takeaway. There's nothing wrong here. There's nothing wrong with this card.
The worst thing about it is if you're playing Black Order, you have so many good cards, you're probably never going to bring this.
Yeah. That's the constant problem nowadays with tactics cards.
Not if you're playing defenders, because they don't have any.
True. They've got enough other good stuff going for them.
They have really good rosters. They do not have anything else going for them.
I mean, that's all you need, though. If you can bring an affiliated Hulk and an affiliated Ghost Rider with Daredevil as the leader. At 15 points,
it's a good time.
You're fine. You're
I'm
fine.
not upset about it. It's
yeah.
a good time.
I get is that all? Do we have anything else to say about Black Dwarf? He's good. He's really, really good. Like, are you guys ready to give him a letter grade?
B+.
I don't know if
B+.
Did we just lose Brandon?
I don't know.
No. I'm still here.
I'm
I
giving
haven't
a B
stopped talking
plus.
'cause
I am
Brad
going
yelled at me.
first this time. He's a B plus. Someone else can go now.
Okay. I'll go next. I'm gonna give him an A minus. I think he's absolutely an A, and according to the methodology that Brad usually uses, which is splashability, he should be an A. He's splashable. I think he's more splashable outside of his affiliation.
You're right. A minus.
I talked him up, Brandon. I got him up there.
Which means his grade was not the first one submitted anymore.
All right, Brandon, what are you gonna give this guy? You're definitely the person who has played this guy the most.
Yeah, I've played this character a lot. I've never had a bad match with him. He's never felt like the wrong choice. The hardest thing I had when I played him was when he was in my roster all the time was that really it was hard because like I had a lot of splash characters. I didn't have a lot of Criminal Syndicate characters, so I had a lot of characters that were. So it made sometimes making the roster slightly difficult because of thing, but he was never the one I cut. It was always it only got awkward when Shadowland Daredevil and Rhino came out. And then MODOK 2 and then Gwenpool because the 4s were really good and it was really hard to cut a 4 because the 3s in Criminal Syndicate, as I will just historically always complain about, is they're just not good. So it was always really hard to kind of make him in that final list just because he wasn't affiliated because it's hard to play a lot of 3s that aren't. But no, this model is absolutely great. I don't understand why he's not played more. I'm going to give him a solid A just because I do think he can fit in any roster. And the worst thing about him is the fact that he only has one affiliation. He's got the Ebony Maw problem that we talked about last week. Is just that like he's great, but he's only in one affiliation, and I think he's just been super forgotten about. And they're in the same box, so
yeah,
like it makes sense.
That box rules.
Yeah, because like as someone who's played him a lot, like when he flips, like he is way like when you can use his like spender and throw in the same turn, you have damage reduction, you have 8 health on your backside, like because he can throw any character in the game that's not Dormammu or a Sentinel. It feels really good because it's hard to turn around and kill him again because across 2 attacks you're gonna have to do roughly plus 10 because if it's 2 attacks you're going to decrease twice, which is really tough when he's rolling 4-3-3.
Yeah, his like having 8 health on his back and having damage reduction makes his injured side unkillable. Like I mean he's obviously not unkillable, but it's so much harder and it takes so much effort, so much attention that you want to put elsewhere.
One thing I will say is that he does die a lot, but he's usually taking the brunt of attacks. Like he's taking all of the attacks.
Yeah.
Like because you're bodyguarding him. Like I played a game with Black Order where I played him and I just kept him right beside Cosmic Ghost Rider and before the Errata, Cosmic Ghost Rider and Corvus Glaive, and when he died and was removed from the table, there was no damage on either one of them because he just took every single attack that went into him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's like, all right, cool, you killed Black Dwarf, but Corvus and Cosmic have just been murdering everything else you've had around. So it's just like, oh, now what? Like we got rid of the one problem, and now you have every other problem to deal with.
Hope you feel good about yourself. You killed the weakest model that I've got.
Yeah, and that was the thing in Criminal Syndicate is when he died, it was like, all right, now Kingpin has full health. Like, all my other characters are healthy. It's like, yeah, you killed Black Dwarf, but the game's over.
Yeah, you killed Black Dwarf, but I'm at 15 out of 16 victory points.
Yeah, and we're going into like round 3. It's like, all right, good game. Thanks for playing. So he definitely felt amazing, especially on like Research Station.
Yeah.
Anything, he definitely was the play when you had right up the middle scenarios. I've recently changed that to another model, but he's an option that should always be accounted for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that was our take on Black Dwarf. Brad, do you have any comic books that feature this guy?
Before we do that, we need more requests. This was our only request since last
Oh, yeah.
week, and so please request, or we'll just start randomly picking people. Uh, and comics. So read Infinity and Avengers No Surrender. Again, like seriously, if you want to read about any Black Order member, read those two stories.
Have you done this one before?
Uh,
This is
Like,
the
I mean,
third
is
time
this
he's
what you
done
did?
this.
Fred,
You
last
He
did
did
this
this.
for Ebony Maw.
He
yes, we did this last week, and
Yeah.
I did one of each of these stories when we did Supergiant and Black Swan.
Yeah, because these characters don't have much that's
No,
about them. They're usually like the full-on antagonists.
yeah, and those two
Right.
stories are by far the two best stories with the Black Order in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh, this is a good
I
time
know
to
that
mention. This is a good time to mention. I meant to mention this last week. I think it's TravisStarnes.com, but if you look up whatever character reading order, Travis Starnes has created a reading order of every comic ever printed by Marvel since I think Fantastic Four #1, and put them all in order. And you can look up a group or an individual, and it will give you every appearance they've been in release order. So if you want to read like all
Holy
the
moly.
if you want to read all the Black Dwarf or Ebony Maw comics, like you read those two stories I recommended and you want to read more, you can go to his website and you can just go through and read them. Like I'm using his guide to read all the Miss Marvel comics right now because she's a mutant.
Okay. Because she's a mutant.
Yeah, because she's finally a mutant like she was supposed to be from the beginning. And Miss Marvel comics are really good. Read Miss Marvel comics.
I've heard that. I've heard that they're great.
They're good.
I have a question for you, Brad.
Yeah, Fred.
Oh. It's about Black Dwarf. Is there much there? Like, is he a character or is he just
beat
is
stick?
there anything?
Is he a beat stick or does he actually do things? I
He's
feel like is what Fred's asking.
so he's definitely the brute, and he's maybe the dumbest one, but he's not as dumb as you would think. Like he's no Rhino.
Listen. What I'm saying is not whether he's dumb, because they're dumb characters that are characters. What I'm saying is, does he have like motivation? Does he have like character development? Is he
as much
a real thing?
as much as any Black Order member does that isn't Ebony Maw? Because I think Ebony Maw has had the most development. I'm pretty sure. And then everyone else is pretty much on the same level. Like they have cool moments. They have a personality that's not generic. But he hasn't done a whole lot.
Yeah.
These characters
I was worried that
these characters have a long life. These characters have a long life ahead of them, but they don't have a very long life behind them.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was worried that this would be like a case where we're talking about someone who's basically a tabula rasa of a character. Like there's nothing here.
No,
I guess
he's had some development. They all have. But just not a whole lot.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. If you're interested in reading the Black Dwarf, oh boy, I've messed that up. You get what I'm saying, Brandon. Tell me a faction that Black Dwarf would really fit well into, I'm going to make it tougher. You can't say Criminal Syndicate because you've already said it so many times, and it's so clearly the obvious choice.
It is a very good option. I mean, anyone that's trying to play attrition, like any attrition list, like he's really, really good in. Size 4 throws are becoming more common. We've gotten some that just don't make any sense, but we have gotten some recently. One especially that makes no damn sense, but
I have a good answer for you, and it's one that I've thought about quite a bit, and that is spider foes.
Yeah.
And do you remember in our game, we were playing a 16-point game, and I brought 4 fours, and those were the only 4 fours that I had. So I was really strongly debating whether I needed another 4 in my list. And I haven't changed it, but I'm really strongly considering Black Dwarf with spider foes.
And Fred,
No, Black Dwarf's absolutely great. So,
and Fred, you actually have a painted one.
I actually do have a painted Black Dwarf. That's one of the first models that Monica painted. So, yeah.
I think anytime you're trying to play any kind of game that's scenario or not scenario based, like attrition based, like he fits in great. He definitely helps in attrition where you can keep people alive and like scenario play. He works out really well with I think he's great in like defenders and like Midnight Suns as well. The biggest thing is it's just hard to it's I guess the worst thing about him is that you have to splash him. Like,
and that's not that bad of a thing. Let's be frank. Like,
nah, you have options, and I think people feel like are in this weird spot where they feel like they have to splash X, Y, or Z, and in reality, you're probably not making the best decision by always like. I mean, I see lists all the time. It's like, say like Web Warriors, and then they splash 3 characters, and it's always like. It's just like Voodoo, Beta Ray Bill, Hulk, and it's like those make sense, but like if you have a very specific game plan, those characters don't always do exactly what you want them to do, or what you need. I think people really should start looking at more niche splashes than like I used to have Beta Ray Bill in my syndicate list, and I played him a good amount, and it got to a point where it was just like as good as he is and everything he does, it's just like I'd rather have more super niche pieces because everyone else, like the rosters, your affiliated models are becoming good enough.
Yeah,
you're at a point where you really don't. And to be fair, I still splash 6 models in my criminal or 4 models in my criminal syndicate list. So, like, I could definitely, use better criminal syndicate models if AMG is listening and they want to, help a brother out. But, it's one of those things where it's like I think people are just defaultly splashing models instead of actually finding the best model to splash in their list. And I see that all the time, especially online when people post lists. It's like, oh,
they say something like you've got to take Beta Ray Bill when you don't got to take Beta.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's Web Warriors, and they're like, just for example, it's like, all right, they're playing like it's like Black Cat, Miles, Ghost Spider. Venom, Spectacular Spider-Man, Agent Venom, and then it's like Amazing Spider-Man. It's like, all right, my next 4 is just like, oh, I guess we just do like Hulk and Beta Ray Bill and Dr. Voodoo, and it's like that's not always the right choice. Like you need to kind of make sure we're making niche things. He also plays really well under Emma. I think it's a model if you're playing Hellfire Club, you should definitely consider. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. All right. Well, that is everything that we have to say about Black Dwarf. We're up on him. He's good. And that leaves only my non sequitur recommendation. Now, I don't know anything about Black Dwarf, and I don't think he was played by a famous person in the movies. The only thing I know about him is he loses his hand at one point. Like it gets cut off by a portal or something. I don't even remember the circumstances.
That is what happens.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk about a movie that I saw recently that I thought was awesome, and that is Dune 2. Everyone, this movie was outstanding. It was an absolute like spectacle to watch. There's enough crunchy stuff in there for people who are fans of the Dune series to really appreciate, and people who aren't, like the person that I went with. It's so visually stunning and fantastic to watch that it's entertaining the whole way, even the parts that are talking about the really niche Dune lore stuff. So, I mean, this movie is I cannot wait to see what Denis Villeneuve does next with the series. It is the best adaptation of Dune that I've ever seen. I think. That's not a like a controversial statement. The other options didn't quite do exactly what this movie does. Even like scenes that you've seen in the trailer, like there's that famous scene in the trailer where you see the three sandworms coming out of the dust storm. You know that's happening. You're watching the screen. You're like, this is the part where the three sandworms come out, but it is still like your lizard brain is going, yeah, you're screaming yes as they do that, and the Sardaukar are running away. It's an outstanding movie. Everyone, go see Dune 2.
I'm
Uh,
putting.
that's
I want to put Fred on blast real quick because the
Okay.
actor who plays Black Dwarf. I'm just gonna list like the movies he's been in. Avatar, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, all three Hobbit movies, Dawn and
Wait.
all the Planet of the Apes movies, Kong Skull Island. I just wanted to
Is
give you
it
some movies that this actor's been in.
is it a famous like motion capture
yeah,
like
that's
stuntman?
that's
Or
what he does. He does motion capture stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
He does the Great Goblin in The Hobbit, and he's Kong in Skull Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying that he does not do good work. I
Well,
don't know what else he's in. I
well,
don't
it
know
was
that
one of
off the
those.
top of
It
my
was
head.
one of those things where I was like, I don't know either, and I looked it up, and then I was like, he's actually been in like all these great movies, and then I was like, oh, it's all motion capture. Anyway, you could have referenced a really great movie here, and
Well,
you
I
did.
think
So
that I
good job.
did. I think
I
I did.
feel I
You
feel
did. Good
like
job.
I feel like this is the guy they get when they can't get Andy Serkis.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say whenever
Or-
you can't get anti-circuit, you get
Or
this guy.
you need more than one person. Because a bunch of those
Right,
movies
because Andy
do
Serkis
have
was in
Andy
The Hobbit.
Serkis. And
Yeah.
also him.
Yeah, he's been in. I mean, he's been in a lot. Like, when I was looking at this like accreditation list, I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, he's been in everything. He was even in Space Jam.
Oh gosh, really?
The first one?
I'm assuming Space Jam 2.
Yeah,
I'm
Space Jam
assuming
2.
too.
Yeah, Space
Yeah,
Jam
they
2.
didn't have motion capture didn't exist when Space Jam 1 came out.
His first accreditation is on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 1993 as a circus performer.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, he certainly went up in. That's not correct. I shouldn't say he went up in the world. He's certainly become a more movie.
His second accreditation is The Forgotten Ones, and then his third accreditation is the movie Avatar.
Okay. Okay.
That was
I
a
don't know
big
what the
jump.
Forgotten One is. Yeah.
Yeah, so like out of his like first three main accreditations, The Forgotten Ones was a 4.1, Avatar is an 8, and then the next one was The Lost Tribe, which was a 3.8. And then he got into the Planet of the Apes, the Hobbits, and the Cabin in the Woods. He's the clown in the Cabin in the Woods.
I don't even know who the clown is in Cabinet. I love that movie. That movie has a bunch of like stuff at the end that's very motion capture-y.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't watch those kind of movies, but he was the clown.
Can I say if you don't know what kind of movie it is? I guarantee it right now.
I
If
do.
you think
So
you know,
nope.
oh, okay.
I will explain. I do watch like 10-minute shorts of these kind of movies.
Okay.
So I know what most of them are about because I do watch like YouTube shorts for like movies that, because sometimes I can't tell if it's like a horror movie or if it's like a suspenseful thriller, and it's a fine line because I really enjoy suspenseful thrillers. And I played this really terrible game because I watched these shorts that if I find out it's a suspenseful thriller that I might enjoy, I just ruined it because I watched this 10-minute short that told me everything about the movie. It's a bad game I
Ruined it.
play. Yeah, it's a bad game that I play.
Well, I'm gonna change my recommendation to Cabin in the Woods if he's in that movie, because Cabin in the Woods is great. It's a fantastic movie. Everyone watch it. And that's enough for this episode, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I think we're rolling in at less than an hour. We did good today. Well done, Brandon. Well done, Brad. And until next time, have fun playing MCP.